first question today is, what is personal magnetism?
Well, personal magnetism definition. What is the definition of magnetism?
That's a good question.
Well, that.
I would say it's someone that carries a certain amount of personal power.
Let's take the word magnetism.
Well, a magnet attracts power.
And repels.
Yeah.
Two magnets. Positive with positive, they repel. It goes like this. They want male and female together. That's what magnetism is. It's a power of attraction. Personal magnetism is all power of attraction. But don't get a magnetic person angry, because if you do, he'll let you have it. A magnetic person is strong, but they know better than to get angry, because they understand the whole trip. So that is magnetism, and personal magnetism it's a combination of knowledge with the exercises that we do on the magnetism course, which is concentration. It is an energy in the body, which energy is not the same energy that picks up this glass or picks up anything heavy. See, I pick up something heavy, that has nothing to do with magnetism. A weightlifter who's a wonderful person is not necessarily magnetic. But if he is powerful physically, and when he speaks, there is a slight nervous tension. That's what personal magnetism is. In the nerves, not the muscles. So all magnetic person that you'll ever meet, they're always busy doing something. They don't waste energy, physical energy, nor do they waste nervous energy. They're collected. For example, magnetic people sometimes they're sitting down with their eyes half closed, like nothing happens. And within seconds, they're up like a flash doing something, but there's no effort. But one thing about magnetic people is that they will always use this magnetic force in the nerves. And you can see it in public speaking. It's really amazing. One thing you can tell about speakers is the guy that comes on stage and he paces back and forth and he starts, so, okay, folks, we're going to do this. That's unmagnetic. The magnetic person is a person that starts calmly, views the situation all around, views his audience, acknowledges the applause. Okay, and he begins from there, at first slowly, and then as he gets into it, he forgets the outer self. He goes into the realm of the inner self, and that's when he's magnetic. So in this course, The Path of Knowledge, even if you didn't have all of these studies on personal magnetism proper, you would still become magnetic, because you are eliminating the lies of the outer self and replacing them with the truth of the inner self. Got it?
All right. I want to
Does that sound right to you?
It sounds right.
Right. Remember what I said before. Believe nothing I say, but think about it.
Okay. So what would you say is the will?
Well, the will is a decision. Willpower is the power of a decision. And people glorify willpower. I will stop smoking. When somebody says that, chances are he's not going to give up smoking. I know. I don't say things that I haven't tried. Many years ago, I smoked cigarettes, and it got out of hand. And then one person said something to me in his book that I had been saying, but I had never heard another person say. And that's all it took. Remember the story of Jesus I told you a little while ago?
Yeah.
Another person said what I thought, and it became a law unto myself. So I put the willpower on a shelf, and I just thought, meditated, tried to understand until I understood why I smoked, or what smoking is all about. And within, I think it was 48 hours, completely stopped. Through understanding. Now, I'm not saying that willpower doesn't have its benefits. Willpower is just, a bulldog has willpower. He grabs onto a piece of meat or another animal, he won't let go. It's willpower. And there's something to be said for it, but people who work with understanding are more calm, and they achieve their goals much faster.
So we're really not using willpower here. We're using thoughts and understanding.
Understanding. Now your next question would naturally be, what is understanding? You see what I said earlier about definitions? I love it. Get the definitions. Understanding. Understandings. You're standing on something which is under, or something like that. Understanding. If I'm under something, trying to understand what this glass is, of course I'm being ridiculous right now, I put the glass on my head and I'm understanding the glass that's standing on my head, or something like that. So understanding has to do with comprehending, knowing why 1 plus 1 equals 2. So it's a simple thing, but nobody ever taught of those things. Nobody taught us. They taught us that 2 and 1 makes 3. Why? So a person walking on the path asks questions of himself that are not often asked in the outside world, especially in that world out there, which is called the herd, the 85%. They care about nothing.
What would you say magnetic force is?
What?
Magnetic force.
Magnetic force. Well, you put the two magnets together and you feel them either repelling, or if you put a male and female together, you feel them pulling. It's hard to pull them apart.
So
that's force.
So in the same way, this is how personal magnetism works.
That's right. Now the force itself, that's kind of a mystery question, because even the scientists wonder at that. And they spent millions, billions of dollars to figure out what that force is. What's the force in electricity? Look, I'm going to stick my fingers in the air, and the male and female currents in the light socket will give me a shock What is that? That is something. Now, science has all kinds of answers for those things. But we are not scientists, nor would I want to be a scientist, because if I were a scientist, I would be applying metaphysics to it. And there is one great scientist, I tried to remember his name for you last week. There is one enormous scientist that has something to that, said something to that effect. Ultimately, all science is metaphysical. And I love Einstein because he said, if you do not comprehend something easily, you don't know much about it. Something to that effect. So this brings me to the realization that life is very simple. But the crew out there wants to hypnotize you into thinking that it's very hard, including your health. Now, I don't say that the discoveries in health are not good. Some of them are. In trauma and accidents, yes. But to charge, I learned this personally. I spent 8 days in a hospital after I had that small surgery on my left foot. I paid my surgeon $430. Nothing. I found it very cheap. And then all these other bills started coming in. I went as far as paying $5,000. And then ultimately, when I was assured that I had, well, they assured, I don't even understand it, that I had Medicare B or something like that, they charged just almost $250,000. Something like that. Oh, something wrong with a society that takes advantage of people that way.
Now,
so,
yeah.
They say to find out the truth, follow the line of the money.
So, in regards to magnetism and magnetic force, I think you kind of mentioned something about leakage.
About leakage, yeah.
Yeah. How would you explain that to someone?
Oh, that's an easy one. Leakage is anything which wastes magnetic energy, which waste is not controlled by your own self-determinism. Some people have a habit of going like this all the time. Remember the example that I give on my book, Developing Confidence? A man, for one of a million reasons, used to do this to a zero and he got nervous. He did it a few times at first, then he got into a habit. Every time he was tense, he did this. It's out of his determinism. The body just does it. He told the body to do it, but he doesn't remember that he told the body to do it. So the body, being your best friend, tries to follow what you told it and does it by itself. And sometimes it does it so well that it's difficult to stop. Same thing with smoking. You connected smoking since you were a child with important people. Everybody smokes, but there must be something to it. All lies.
So he's not consciously aware of it, these movements, right? This leakage. And it's only until he becomes aware that it's okay. I mean, if I do this, I'm aware of it. It's different. Right. It's not leakage, right?
That's the leak, because it's under your own self-determinism. You know that you're doing it. So What? Yeah, that's it.
So what would be the relationship between leakage and nervousness?
Same thing.
Same thing?
Yeah, there's a little bit more to nervousness. The nervousness is this. Watch this. Can you see my hand?
Yeah.
Starts like this. Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. Can't make up your mind about something, so you're nervous. Oh, I want to get better, but I don't know how to get better. There's some evil force around me. So he said, yes, it will work. No, it won't work. It'll work. It won't work. So I'm a nervous wreck. Spent 10, 15 years doing that, and you are a nervous wreck. That's what nervousness is. It's a yes or no type thing. So how would you stop being nervous? Well, several things you can do, and the first one is to understand it. And that's what nervousness is. It's an out-of-control motion that you make that you decided at one time, but you lost control of it. That's what it's all about. Now, to regain control, you're not going to use willpower. Say, I'm going to do it. Like the big shots that charge $1,000 for a weekend seminar. You got to be strong. You're going to. Next weekend, they're right back where they started. Maybe one or two will help, but understand it. And the more you love yourself, the more you will implement understanding in your life.
I don't know how much time we have, but
we have about 7 minutes.
okay.
Yeah.
I probably would like to get more into this maybe in another session, but in talking about the voice and what role does the voice play in personal magnetism and why is it so important?
Well, did you ever ask yourself why you have a good voice? You remember that project you made on meditation?
Right.
You did an excellent job. That's going to go out as an update very soon. Did you ever ask yourself why you have that voice? I know that you can turn it on or off.
Right.
Why not use it all the time? So the voice, it's a little complex to explain, but the voice, something in it. The voice is the life of the being. That's why, for example, I have a student. She's beautiful. She wrote beautiful songs. She had a beautiful voice and never got anywhere. She was always putting herself down. It was never good enough. So she's coming out of the ego. I suggested that she take this course. She wouldn't do it. I think that she was too tied up to old values of the old musty books.
That would be like a form of a negative affirmation then, right? That she's suggesting to herself. If she's saying affirmations to herself that are of negative nature rather than ones that are positive.
Yeah. But she doesn't even know that they're affirmations because
she's not aware, right?
Yeah, if she believed in affirmations, she would take the course at least to learn how to use the idea of affirmations and the idea of self-love. And but everybody is free to do whatever they want to do. You can't force anybody to do. That's where they are.
Yeah.
What was your original question? It was on
the voice.
On the voice, yeah.
What role does it play, in personal magnetism?
Now, there is a part of the voice in the back here that's called the subconscious voice, and you can turn that on or off. You can speak with a closed throat like this. Many people do, and I don't know if it's my imagination that nowadays all the men are beginning to talk like women, and all the women are getting to talk like men. I don't know if it's my imagination. I wish somebody would tell me. It seems like men are becoming feminine, and it could be that the drugs that they take for illnesses are contributing to all this. There are some things that I get through email that allude to that. But there is a place in the back which is most attractive, to speak with an open throat. Ah, instead of ah, ah. So I'm a big fan of that. And you can't be a singer. I mean, you can't have an excellent technique in singing without opening up that throat. Even a soprano has a chilly voice way up there. She has to have her throat open.
So, in conclusion, it's all about really raising your level of awareness that are going to make the major changes in your life, right?
Yeah. Be aware of everything. For example, I'm aware I just did this. There was a reason for that. When I talk for a long time, sometimes my nose gets a little wet. So I make it easier by doing this. Obviously, you can't be aware of everything all at once, but you are aware enough that you know what's going on.
So what's going to make a person study your course, or not say make a person, but they have to take maybe a certain risk in looking at things differently?
Me, you're a student.
Well, I tell you, well, yeah, of course.
You're doing very well.
Yeah.
Your life has improved.
Yeah, no, but I'm speaking of those people that aren't really. Well, they're the 85%. How does the 85%?
85% don't join courses like this. They could care less.
So really, it's whether or not the person wants to find out or expand themselves to a whole different level.
Yeah, I have students all over the world.
Yeah.
Greece, California.
So these are really...
Japan, Portugal, and...
These are all students then that are searching, right?
They really want to know what it's all about. And more people are getting that way. They're fed up with what's going on. They don't know. Nobody ever welcomed them into this world when they were born. Now, my father did, to a particular initiation which I had, where I was totally out of my body, and he came in to the belly in which I was and welcomed me. Sounds crazy. But it doesn't bother me. You want to call me crazy? Fine, go ahead. It doesn't bother me at all. Nothing is important except what you think of you. And that's where the mirror technique is extremely important. You have your friend is your body. Your body, most of the time, unless it's very, very toxic, your body knows what to do. And, of course, you can get into an accident. That's trauma. That's different. But even accidents are more often than not, caused by lack of being there. Your attention is dispersed. So, in achieving personal magnetism, you develop the ability to be focusing on one thing, but moving to another thing instantly, and going back to this one if you want to. Everything is what you want to. Nothing happens automatically. And the subconscious mind, which beats your heart and digests your food and makes you breathe, becomes aware. It becomes your friend too, you know, and is looking after your welfare. But if you, let's say that you want to write a book, and this is what the majority of authors do. You want to write a book, but you know how difficult it is to publish a book. So you, instead of telling the truth and the whole truth, you play around with sensationalism. Play around, you say all kinds of things that people are going to like. And most self-improvement books, out of 1,000 that are written, only one and a half has anything real to say. So, and then that one and a half is because they were using the inner self. So, that's what I would say.
Any last words before we conclude?
Continue the mirror technique. And first thing in the morning, right after you get up, I go to the bathroom, I gargle out my mouth with water, no chemicals whatsoever. Then first thing I turn the computer on, I have my affirmations and my mirror right there. And I do that for a few minutes. And then I'm ready to do other things. I go ahead and take my shower. Then my breakfast is a whole bowl of salad that my wife leaves it made. Huge. I'm like this after I finish breakfast. And that's all I eat. Right?
Okay.